Happy Wednesday. Hope you are having a great day so far. Welcome to Cooped Up Live, should I say. While we are waiting on folks to join, reminding you that Cooped Up is my website. I actually posted something new today. I posted a review of what I'm talking about on today's live episode, the Whitney Houston movie, I Want to Dance with Somebody, that Claire and I saw last night. So I've got my review on there, so you can read it. I'm going to talk about it also. Wherever you follow me or can follow me on social channels, I'm Cooped Up as my handle in all the places. Would love a follow, particularly if you are on the Instagrams. And also, we air on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and then rebroadcast in audio format on all of the major podcasting platforms. If you want to make sure you don't miss a beat, be sure to follow, click the bell, subscribe, whatever their mechanism is to follow me. Be sure to do that. So, hey, Mama, good to see you. We're just getting rolling. So, as I said last night, Claire and I we were invited to a sneak peek of the Whitney Houston biopic. Biopic? Is it biopic or biopic? Biopic, I think is how I've always said it. I Want to Dance with Somebody, which coincidentally is my very favorite Whitney Houston song, and it is one of my top 5 favorite songs of all time. It was good. So we got invited. It opens. Well, see, here's the thing. So their website says it opens tomorrow. Cinepolis is showing it tomorrow. But the materials we got last night, because it was a sneak peek preview kind of thing, said it's opening on Friday. So I'm assuming it's tomorrow. Like it got changed at the last minute or something like that. Friday is what a weird day to open on the eve of Christmas Eve. Maybe that is a big movie day or big movie weekend. But it is in theaters in some places, at least here in Dallas, tomorrow. I will say that the movie was good. I enjoyed it very much. It's not going to win any Oscars unless like Naomi Akes, I don't remember her last name, who played Whitney Houston, did a very good job kind of impersonating her, got the mannerisms down. She even walked just like her. Little things that maybe only super fans like me and some of my friends, Carol Aiko, others, Carrie, would notice. But it was a good movie. Stanley Tucci played Clive Davis, and he was fantastic in it. Had kind of the monotone tone down. They receded the hairline as time went on, all of that kind of stuff. But it was a good movie. It was kind of long, but never boring. Like it was never slow. The only reason I know that it was kind of long is I peed immediately beforehand, and by the end of the movie, I was like about to die, but I knew it was coming to the end because it followed a chronological timeline, and I know how it ends. Yeah, so it was. I about wet myself by the end. I almost texted you, Mom, telling you like, "Oh, I almost did it." But good movie. My fear I talked about this a little bit yesterday. My fear going into seeing the movie was that it was going to be unfair, like either unfair, like too positive, like a puff piece, or unfair, like a hit job, right? And it was neither. And I didn't realize this until last night that Clive Davis himself, that's her agent from the beginning of time. He discovered her, was her agent until her death. She performed at his party the night before her death. And then Patricia Houston, her sister-in-law, those two were the two of the primary producers of this movie, I Want to Dance with Somebody. So I was also, when I saw that, like in the preview materials, I was like, oh, hell. This is going to be sanitized for their protection, for sure. And it was not. It was not. So it was kind of they didn't make Whitney seem like a bad person. She just seemed like a flawed person who was struggling near the end, especially to handle the pressures that none of us would ever be exposed to as superstars and all that stuff. It also showed, and I was unaware of some of the things that they talked about. Like I didn't realize that her father spent all of the money, and the main reason that she did the really big international world tour, that's redundant, the world tour in the late 80s, maybe early 90s, I think it was late 80s, was because they needed to make money to pay everybody back and kind of get back on their feet. I was not aware of that, and that was in the movie last night. I'm trying real hard not to do any spoilers, but it is a retelling of history. So spoilers are, it's as if you know or you don't know at this point. But yeah, it was great. Even so, I took Claire, who knows Whitney. She listens to Whitney. She's a fan. She's not a super fan. She doesn't know everything. But she said, I asked her this morning, I was like, so did you think the movie was slow? And she said, no, not at all. Like, I never felt bored. I never felt like any scene was bad. One of the neat like mechanisms they did, because Whitney has such a catalog of songs, is that they kind of used the songs as mile markers along the way so that you knew kind of where you were. I've seen some reviews say, because it's like a 2.5 hour movie. I've seen some reviews that say that you can't compress her life into 2.5 hours and that it was a little too surface level. You know what? That may be true. Like they would say, like they didn't highlight every single. So they highlighted like the making of The Bodyguard. But then they didn't actually, they only randomly talked about in passing her making Waiting to Exhale and The Preacher's Wife. Like they didn't show the scenes from that, that sort of thing, which I think is fine. If nothing interesting happened during that other than that she made those movies, then just reference them so you know it. Bobby Brown was in it a lot less than I expected. I'm not mad about that. Because I don't know if you've seen the previous Whitney movie that came out maybe like 5-6 years ago. Turns out they should have just called it Bobby Brown, because it basically was set out to make sure that he looked like a saint in all of this. And I do think he has or unjustly been accused of being the bad boy that brought her. She was doing drugs way before him. She actually got him into drugs. That is a fact. It's been written about, all of that kind of stuff. Like the history says that is truth. So there is that. I don't know. They were a very volatile thing. Oh, but I forgot one thing. I meant to lead with this. And this is not a spoiler because everyone knows this too. I just was not expecting it. Because Clive Davis and Pat Houston were the producers, I really thought, and by the way, they too are probably the most protective, the most who have a vested interest in maintaining Whitney's legacy and making sure that she stays a superstar in people's minds, right? So I was worried. I didn't know how they were going to address the bisexuality thing, that Whitney was bisexual, which there's been lots of rumblings about. Robin Crawford, this is her best friend and / lover, girlfriend, whatever, has written a book that confirms it. There's been other confirmations about it. And I was curious how they were going to do that. Well, guess what? It's a major storyline in the story. Like, she is in almost every scene. They kiss. They have affection for each other. They break up. I don't know, whatever. Maintain friendship. They were friends till the very end, and actually very close friends, to the point where Robin was kind of like her creative director, business manager kind of person. Pat Houston ultimately was her like business manager. Robin was kind of like the Whitney manager, if you will, like Whitney connecting with all the other people and such. But so I was worried that they were not going to address that. Like that was still going to be a taboo subject. And they just went in and it was like, I bet we were like 4 minutes into the movie and we meet Robin. And we are probably 20 minutes into the movie before we see them kissing and all of that kind of stuff. So, and it's interesting the way they portray them, how their relationship ebbed and flowed. Like this could have very easily been called Whitney and Robin as well, And actually, you know what? I'm not spoiling anything, but the title of the movie and the title of that song has deeper meaning that I did not realize, and kind of connects back to this whole storyline and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm just giving myself goosebumps because there are a couple of places where I just straight up cried. Like, and Claire is used to it. She didn't get embarrassed by it anymore. But she would look at me because suddenly I'm her favorite part of the movie. The the revelation about that specific song, which is one of my favorite songs of all time, and the meaning behind it, which she didn't write it. She didn't write any of her music, but why it spoke to her was great. There was the scene at the end. I tell you that it is a song that is on the live album. So about 5 years ago, there is a live album that it was a compilation of all of her live performances, like when she was on Oprah, when she's been on tour, when she sang "I Will Always Love You" at the concert for the release of Nelson Mandela, those types of things, right? Like these big moments, the Star Spangled Banner. That's another crying moment. But there's a song on it that it's a live song. It's a medley actually. And I think it's the only place it's ever been published. And I've always skipped past it because I've always thought, it's kind of I don't know, I didn't like the song that much. Like it's a medley of songs that aren't even her. Like the last of the 3 songs is her song. The other 2 are not. And one's a Broadway song. No, actually, the first 2 are Broadway songs, which is fine. I like Broadway, but Whitney was not a Broadway singer. So I kind of like whatever. So I usually skip past them. Well, the movie ends with this. And it actually begins and ends with this. And it is like jaw dropping. It is so good. And you learn all about it. It's the only time she's ever performed it, ever, ever, ever. And so it's crazy. So I cried at that part. I cried when she and Robin kissed because I was so very happy to see that. I cried when the Star Spangled Banner, which was very good. They also did not, only with the super powerful songs did they play the whole thing, like a full song, full concert kind of thing. But for other songs, I mean, Star Spangled Banner is a great song. It's a very powerful song. But kind of the big part of that was the last like 30 seconds of it. And so they kind of played that, and then they moved on to some other big songs that she had. But it was good. Sandy sang. I wasn't sure if I wanted to see the movie, but it sounds like it's worth it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Again, I went for free, but I enjoyed it, and I'm a super fan. Here's the other thing. It is a movie. I don't think it was just our movie last night, which, by the way, they had a Whitney Houston drag queen perform right before they showed the movie. Now, that's not standard. That was just for this VIP preview thing. She did I Want to Dance with Somebody. No. How Will I Know? That's what she did. But it was funny. And Claire was like, "Oh, a drag queen," because my kids love drag queens. And so she had the house phone because we have one cell phone that the kids kind of share for if we're out and about and stuff. And so she immediately started recording it, which was great. So what was I talking about? I was talking about like the times I cried. I will tell you, I cried the hardest when they got to February 2012, the Beverly Hilton, because I know that's when she died. That's where she died. And as soon as they started showing scenes from that, I'm like, oh, it's on. So I was like just wet faced during that part. Again, super fan here, know all the facts. And I was also worried about how they were going to depict her death. She dies. Did y'all know that? Stupid. How they depict her death. They did it in a very, very classy way. It was not glorified. It was not gory. It was not badly done. Like in a way, it was not disrespectful in any way. I was very, very pleased with how they did that. So anyway, it's a good movie. Again, long, pee before it starts. I kept trying to time when to get up to pee because I was like, okay, I know this movie is 2.5 hours long. I got 30 minutes left. I'm literally so I started shifting in my seat. Like I put the recliner down and kind of sat forward for a little bit. And Claire's like, what are you doing? I kind of sat upright more. I kept changing position to see if maybe it would take pressure off my bladder. Some of them worked for a minute and then they stopped working. And some of them worked for a minute and then they stopped working, like that kind of thing. But again, by the end, I was about to wet myself. I think I was the first person out of that theater. I hope there was no post-credit scenes. I doubt there were because I only stayed during. As soon as the credits came on, I was like, boo, bolted. But what was I saying about that? Oh, so I was trying to time it like, okay, when is there going to be a slow moment? Like, is there a scene that maybe I know it already happened or whatever? And there was not. So that's why I had to wait to the end. Like, so I was like, I'm going to miss something. I'm going to miss something very important. So anyway, go see the movie. It's a great movie. Oh, I know what I was saying. God, my Quillberry's not kicking in well enough today. The lot of audience interaction during this movie, and I don't know if it was because I got off track because I started talking about that drag queen. That's what got me off track. I'm able to find my way back to path. I'm doing it right now. But so during the movie, there was a lot. Like I was head bopping to the big ones and swaying to the soft ones, and there were a couple of times where they had her performances where the entire fucking audience applauded, right? And it wasn't disruptive to the movie. Occasionally there was some people like, sing it, girl, sing it. If you don't like that, then you're probably not going to want to see it in the movie theater. But it was not disruptive. I did not find it disrespectful or anything like that. There was one delicious moment. It had nothing to do with the movie itself, but these 4 women showed up and they were in the row right in front of us. They showed up and they're standing there and they're like, are these our seats? Because it was all assigned seats. Are these our seats? Are these our seats? Are these our seats? And one of the people came up, one of the workers from the PR firm that represents it's called Fonz PR that represents the thing, came up to the ladies, you need to sit down. They're like, we're having trouble finding our seats. And she was like, well, if you wouldn't have shown up so late, because it was like 30 minutes in the movie, if you wouldn't have shown up so late, this wouldn't have been a problem. Delicious. And then one of those women got out her cell phone during this. So just trash. No respect for anybody. And if you're watching, I just called you trash because you are. Hateful. So anyway, other than that, my day has been spent trying to, again, cram 5 days worth of work into, now I'm lying. I had a meeting this morning at 9:30. I was ready at like 9:25 for. Then I took the kids, Claire Mason and I got manis and petties this morning. I already fucked mine up though, putting my shoe back on. I wrinkled the polish. I need to take that off and put it back. Fortunately, I bring my own polish, so I have the exact jar that it came from. Claire got like lime not lime green, but like mint green. She got mint green on her fingernails and her toes. And I think that the only other time Claire's ever gotten a pedicure or manicure kind of experience is when we were in Las Vegas. We did that fish where the fish eat the skin off your feet. We did that thing in Las Vegas. It's creepy. But they don't like trim your nails or anything afterwards. They just literally just let the fish eat your dead skin. And her having young feet, it's not a big deal. And then Mason got alternating red and green. He got green thumb, this finger and this finger, and then red this finger. And then on his toes, he did the opposite. Red big toes, green, so for Christmas time. A little Christmassy, manicure pity. And then I went to the office and did some work. And then I wrote my review for I Want to Dance with Somebody. And now I'm leaving. As soon as I get off here, I'm going because I've got to go to my original old office, the building that we own, and I need to prep it for the cold tomorrow. I need to go drip the faucets, pull some of the shades to like keep it warmer inside. Make sure that we've got the heater set on like a steady temperature, not because it fluctuates on a schedule, and I want it to be just like on a I don't want anything to break because we're about to sell it. But everyone is going to be cold. I think is this hitting the entire country? Because it's definitely hitting a lot of it. Even the Rio Grande. I saw my friend Nurith, who I share a birthday with, like an exact birthday with, went to college with her sister Tally, and she is a city councilwoman down in Brownsville. And I saw her posting this morning that they're expecting freezing temperatures tomorrow, even in Brownsville, Texas. That's how cold it's going to be. Brownsville, fucking Texas is going to be below freezing. And they were teaching people like what to do because that never happens there. Like it happened. That's like maybe like 3 times in a lifetime kind of thing that it gets that cold. And it's certainly that cold for that long. It's terrible for the crops. So citrus may be damaged with that. But and then I also need to go cover some plants. Here's a little pro tip, by the way. It seems counterintuitive, but it's actually true. You need to make sure your plants are really well watered, but try not to get water on their leaves and stuff. Water them if you can, like at their roots. Make sure they're really, really well watered before you cover them, or even just if you're not going to cover them, just make sure they're really, uh, really well watered, because it helps with their preparation. The plants, through the photosynthesis and all of that, it creates heat, and they need the water, and they need to be like as plump and as healthy as possible. And if they're even kind of dehydrated, it actually exacerbates it if they get freezing. So make sure your plants are well watered before you cover them. I'm even in our sunroom. We have a sunroom. We have two of them off of our master. They're on top of each other. One off of the living room and den, and then one off of our master bedroom. And I have plants in both of them. Even those, I'm going to make sure are really well watered, because we close the doors to those rooms because it's just all windows. So it gets cold in there as well. It doesn't get freezing. It won't get freezing in there, but it'll get cold. So I need to make sure that they're really well watered. Mama's already taken her plants into the garage. Yes. And Raven is saying, oh my God, your house, is it going to be brisk in there? It is. It is. Because our house is actually super well insulated, because the original old part of the house has like 12-inch thick cement walls. Like you can't, if you want to hang a picture in my house, you better damn well be sure that that's where you want that picture to live forever and ever and ever. Because you got to use a drill and all of that. It's cement wire with wire lathe inside it. And so it stays cool in the summer, and it stays warm in the winter, unless it gets really cold, like for a very long time. But this, we're not planning to lose power. Cross your fingers on that one. But our issue is that our windows are so old, and our windows, you can stand next to them and you can feel the breeze sometimes. Like if it's a really strong wind, which this is going to be, it feels like the wind is in the house. It'll blow a candle out. So we're going to need to like shut we'll pull curtains, that kind of thing. Close doors so that at least it like limits it to certain areas. Like our library, will close the door. We'll pull the doors to the sunroom, the gym, all that kind of stuff. How many other rooms can I humble brag that we have? I didn't mean it that way. It just I now see that it may sound like that. The gym actually stays it actually stays pretty temperate, because the gym it's half underground, half above ground. So it's this soil, I don't know what it is, helps keep it at a nice temperature there. So anyway, let's hunker down and pray for daylight. I think we're once we go under freezing tonight, I believe it's supposed to remain under freezing until, I believe it's Sunday midday. I think Sunday, Christmas Day, we're supposed to get into the high 30s, low 40s, I believe. So hopefully with some sunshine, that'll be great. I don't mind a high 40s day with sunshine. That is a lovely day to me. So Sandy is saying my windows are fairly new and insulated, but my living room, kitchen, basically the heart of my home, is all windows. So it's chilly. Yes, same. But ours are old windows in that part of the old part of the house has old windows. The new part of the house. So we kind of hunker down in the new part of the house, the add-on, because it has the better insulated windows. It's got the more efficient heating system, all of that. It's been a beautiful week of weather. Yes, Sandy, it has been. Wish it would stay this way. I've enjoyed this week. I think it's lovely. I like it. I even like it when it's a little overcast. Feels a little more wintry without, I mean, I wore this today. I did not wear a jacket today at all. And then like to our manis and petties, I was going to wear my flip-flops, but I walk out the door and my flip-flop, the part that goes between your toe, that looked like I was doing something else. The part that goes between, it's broke in half. And these were like really nice Harimari flip. I mean, I had them forever. They're the best. I'm going to replace them with another pair of Harimaris. They're great. But it didn't pull out. Like any other time I've broken a flip-flop, it's pulled out. This like literally just snapped, like from where, I guess. So I need to order a new pair of those. So I had to go I was going to put on my Birks, but they touched my little toe. So I was like, can't do that. So I went and got my Tevas. I'm going to put those on. And that's what I was trying to put on. And that's when I smudged or You can't even really see it, but like you can see where it kind of pushed it back a little bit right there. Raven is saying we hauled firewood from our stacks to the rack on the porch. My wife is going to be burning it all day and all night. Yes. Here's another pro tip. So our fireplaces we've all converted them to gas. So we don't, except for the outside one. By the pool, the fireplace is wood burning, but everything else is gas. And actually that one's also gas and wood burning. But another pro tip, learn this too. Some little house on the prairie shit here. Boil water on your stovetop. Sometimes I will have 4 or 5 pots of water, like big pasta pots, whatever, of water boiling on it, because 2 reasons. 1, warm, heat, all of that kind of stuff, but it moisturizes the air, and moist air holds warmth better than dry air. Dry air can't hold. That's why it's going to be so cold, because this air is so dry. So warm air, and that's why it feels so hot in the summer when it's humid, because moist air holds humidity. So do that. And if you just run it's dangerous to just run the burner or the oven, but also that will dry the air out too, especially if it's gas. So boil water, add humidity. Yes. So did I say something wrong? Are you correcting me, Blake? Humidity. Whatever I said, I meant humidity. So, and no, I could not wear the Hermes slides either, because they're too tight once you get them on. Like getting your toe through, it has to like skid. So I had to wear the fucking Tevas. Yes. So Monica's saying, reminds me of our NYC trip. I have no idea what that is in reference to. But sure, reminds me of it also. Sandy said, I almost let you and Carrie influence me to get Tevas, but resisted. I still enjoy them on like camping trips and hiking and stuff like that. They're still great shoes for when you're going to get wet and you need shoes that stick on your feet. Carrie wears them for fashion. I have a lot of people who wear them for fashion. I have a more fashionable pair. Those are not the ones I wore today, but because I was in a hurry, because I was literally walking out the door when my flip-flop broke. But anyway, so that's what I did. But I was just thinking about something. Oh, Nina update. This just in. There's been a lot of just ins today. She's still not had the baby, but she is starting to open up, if you will, not to get too personal and technical. And she's having contractions. And so if she is not having, the finger, Monica, I get it, the finger gesture, yes. If she is not able to have the baby naturally within the coming hours, I think they said before midnight tonight, our time, so 10 o'clock their time, so that's like 7 more hours, they are going to most likely move to a cesarean, which is not the biggest thing. People have cesareans every day, not the same person, but it's a very thing. So Aaron said there's nothing technical about opening up. Yeah, I don't know the words. That's the thing. We are talking about a part of the body that I know very little about. Last time I really discussed it at length was probably in sex education in high school. Is that when we learned that? And even then, it was probably like, those are the girly parts and those are the boy parts, that kind of thing. Did I convince you after all? Yes. Fashion influencer, Cooper Koch. Dilating, that's the word, dilating. She's not she's starting to dilate. Finally, that was the issue. So anyway, so keep her in your prayers, thoughts, positive thinking, whatever you do. Cross your fingers, whatever that is. And hopefully Nina will be a mother by the time we go to bed tonight. Hopefully we're not having to wait until midnight. And I'll be a new gunkle. I'm already a gunkle, but I'll be another gunkle, a new gunkle. And I'm weirder now so my niece and nephew, my nephew is 14, almost 15. And my niece is, how old is Logan? I think she's like 23, 22, 23. And so I wasn't quite as weird then. So I'm going to be real weird with this kid. And this kid lives in California, so I can go out there and be extra weird because we have the Texan coming to California. So, Aaron is saying, I learned the word vulva today from a kid's parts book. Who knew? I've heard of that word. I don't know what part it connects to, or how, or what. Clitoris is probably, or is it clitoris? I don't even know how to say it. That's probably the one, the clit. That's probably the only one that I actually know because it's just a joke in so many things. Man, this really went downhill. So, will I be on tomorrow? TBD. I don't know. My in-laws are arriving tomorrow. They have arrived in Jackson, Mississippi, and then they're driving from Jackson to here tomorrow. So I don't know when they get here. They typically try to shoot between 4 and 5. If that is the case, I probably won't. Also depends on the cold and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, alrighty. Well, with that, I'm gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna be a totally bad uncle. Gunkle. Yes, Monica. Too many inside jokes with that. So with that, I want to say bye. I love you. It's important to know you are loved. I love that you watched this. Thank you so much. I also love Whitney Houston and miss her every day. So I have no idea what you're saying there. And that was the shit inside the sandwich. Okay, we'll go with that. So, and if I don't see you again until next week, Sandy, you stole the words from my mouth. Thank you. Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you have a great Christmas. We celebrate Saturday night and then just enjoy the day on Sunday. And I'll be here. I don't know exactly the schedule next week because everyone's on vacation, and including Todd, and how that's all going to work out. But I will try to come live as much as I can. And if I don't see you next week, I'll see you next year. How about that? So with that, I'm going to say bye. I love y'all. Bye. Ho, ho, ho.